Welcome back to the Corporate Governance Program. I'm Amir Qureshi. We're talking with Mr. Kaisar Naseem, the project manager of IFC's project on corporate governance in Pakistan. Before the break, we were talking about lots and lots of things. Now let's talk about a survey that you've conducted as part of the project that you're undertaking about the state of corporate governance in Pakistan. Would you like to share with us what you found and how you went about it?
Well, it's quite a large survey, but I'll share a few findings of that. Firstly, the purpose of that survey actually was to determine a baseline for the corporate governance project itself, so that we have an understanding of where we stand as a country in terms of adherence to corporate governance. So that's recently been completed, although our project has been continuing, so we've been doing a lot of stuff, not waiting for the survey results to come in. But those, the surveys asked questions, basic questions like the definition of corporate governance and how it is perceived by CEOs and CFOs of companies. It's amazing to find that different people have different understanding of what corporate governance is. But what's come out of the survey is that it's thought to be compliance, that compliance is corporate governance, which it isn't. I mean, compliance is not corporate governance. Corporate governance is a system, it's a structure, which provides the company with a methodology to direct and control the affairs of that company. So that's one thing which has come out of the survey. Then we had questions like the composition of the board of directors, the importance of independent directors, audit committees. Do companies have audit committees? And if they do, who sits on those audit committees or who should sit on them? And basically, in a nutshell, the findings are that not many companies are actually adhering to best practices of corporate governance. Although like I said earlier, we have a code of corporate governance, and companies are supposed to adhere to those, to the requirements of that code. In practice, that is not being done by many companies. I'm not saying all of them aren't following it. There's a lot of what's known as box ticking, and that is basically why we conducted the survey, to find out that is it actually the spirit of the code which is being followed, or it is just the letter. And unfortunately, today it is the letter. And that brings me back to the business case I mentioned earlier, that we would like to inform people, or at least bring out the business case for corporate governance, that why should companies want to improve corporate governance?
Because I believe IFC has done a lot of research in this area, which confirms what you've been saying, that it's just good business to have a good corporate governance system.
Absolutely. I mean, not only IFC, but a lot of institutions, like McKinsey, like the Harvard Business School, like the World Bank Group, they've done studies which show that companies which adhere to good corporate governance have better shareholder value, they have better access to finance, they can access finance at lower costs, they improve their decision-making processes within the company, and hence improve the operational efficiency in the bottom line, etc., etc. So coming back to why we are focusing on it being a business case, because we don't want companies to be following good corporate governance because it is regulated. Because that's when you enter the box-ticking methodology, that, okay, if I don't tick this box, the regulator is going to fine me, and therefore you're adhering to it. The reason should be that they understand that if they adhere to it, it actually makes business sense to them. And for that, you've got to do a lot of awareness, like I said, and then you've got to have people who actually understand how that difference can be made by adhering to good corporate governance. And that basically is the crux of this project of IFC's, to get across that message.
And this is what we'll be trying in the coming episodes of this program to do, promote the message that good corporate governance actually is good business. Let's talk about what your expectations are, I suppose, for the remainder of this project. What do you really hope to achieve? How will you know if you've been successful in what you're trying to do?
Well, like any other project of IFC, this project also has, we monitor it as we go along, and then there's an evaluation at the end of the project, and we have certain indicators. For example, one of the indicators is how many directors or how many board directors have completed the board development program. By the way, there have been 43 who are accredited right now.
Already.
There's another 40 or 50 in the pipeline, so they should be accredited by the end of this year or early next year. So that's a measure. The more directors have actually gone through this. The other is that how many people have been reached through these awareness campaigns. And that we've categorized into bankers, into the corporate sector, into university professors, into the media. We have special workshops for the media, by the way, and Business Plus and CNBC and others have actually attended these media, basically trying or hoping to show the media how to report on corporate governance events and unearthed scandals and etc. So that's one indicator. The other is that how many companies have been able to access finance better now since they've improved the corporate governance.
Okay.
That, if they didn't have access to finance, or if they had access but at a higher rate, because of the fact that they've improved the corporate governance, they now have access to better financing opportunities. So how many companies are there? So that's one measure. Then they are, we also would like to create a demand for corporate governance services within Pakistan. So how many institutions are actually in the market looking for someone to help them improve corporate governance? Having created that awareness that they need to improve it, so how many companies? And I'll tell you, today they're more than they were a year ago.
So
and,
that's progress.
And I'm sure you'll have people on this show who have actually been through our certification programs. They've been through these assessments. They've actually held consultations with IFC on how to improve. So you'll get a indication on your own. The other measure is the Institute of Corporate Governance. Like I said, that we are helping them build their capacity. So how sustainable are they in terms of, do they meet 50% of the costs of operation in year one? Do they meet 70% in year two? And those are actual benchmarks that we put.
Okay.
Do they meet 80% in year three and 100% in year four? Because that's what they're supposed to be doing. Have they had 4 staff members of theirs trained in corporate governance methodology? Because they should have had by the end of year 2 or 3. So all these are parameters. I mean, there are, I think, more than 50 or 55 of these.
It's quite a complicated thing.
It is. Well, it's not complicated. It's simple.
Comprehensive.
What I mean is, you can actually put a number to it.
Okay.
How many people you've reached out to, how many have actually, benefited from improved corporate governance, how much investment have they been able to attract. We, I think, have a figure also of 5 companies each attracting at least, I may be off the mark, $40 million each because of improved corporate governance. So at least 5 companies should be able to cite that.
Can I just stop you there because
Sure.
it's time for a commercial break? We'll be back with more of the corporate governance program, but after a short break.